Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on today's podcast. This is the first and official dental marketing radio show podcast, an internet marketing radio show dedicated to practice growth and success, utilizing marketing and other sorts of good stuff. So let me introduce myself for any of you who don't know me. My name is Greg Presti, and I'm the president of a company called Local Search for Dentists. My claim to fame is being the internet marketing guy, which most people don't know that my background is actually in all form of marketing. So really, it's not just limited to the internet. So I actually have on the podcast with me today a very good friend, Dr. Eric Compton from Munster, Indiana. How you doing, Eric?
Doing great today, Greg.
Thanks for coming on. Obviously, you're going to be the guinea pig for this show, but this is going to be one of many. And the way we're going to work, these podcasts for the future is we have a website, dentalmarketingradio.com, where anyone in the dental profession can download the podcast, listen to it on their iPod or iPhone or whatever it is they use. They could even listen to it on their computer, download it, put it on a CD. There's all sorts of good stuff. And we're also going to be featured on iTunes on the podcast section. So you can access these recordings for free anytime. We're going to do one a week, and we're going to do a bunch of different topics, mostly about practice growth strategies. And I'm going to bring experts on. I'm going to bring other dentists who I think are doing a great job inside their four walls, which is why Eric's on today, because he's my inspiration for today, because he's done such a good job. He had a record year in 2012 and continues to do real well. And I think everyone can learn from what he's done. So, this is going to be a real conversational thing. I'll probably even tell some stories from here and there. The show is not about me. I'm here to offer my expertise and my opinion, of course, but I'm not here to sell or promote anything. This is just information, and you can do whatever you like with it. So that being said, Eric, why don't you tell the folks where you're from and where your practice is, a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you said, Greg, my practice is in Munster, Indiana, which is in the northwest corner, really kind of a suburb of Chicago. I've been practicing since 1986. I know that it's almost 27 years. But I've been fortunate through my practice. Actually, my father was the dentist who started the practice before me. Unfortunately, he's not practicing anymore, but he's always been a great mentor for me. And I really enjoy dentistry. I've always enjoyed dentistry. I think it's a great profession to be in these days. My practice is totally fee for service. I don't accept any insurance assignments, which has been fortunate for me. And we've just done very, very well. The practice is, again, growing every year. This last year we had a 22% growth, which is really, has been a good thing. Some of that growth, I do have one associate, and I just added a second associate right toward the end of the year. Just to keep things busy. The hardest part that I have these days is just sheer size of my my office. Where I'm at, I've got about 3,000 square feet with 7 operatories. I don't necessarily want to go crazy, but I do wish I had a little more room. But I'm kind of stuck in my little corner of the world. But we're definitely taking it to capacity as far as the hours that we're here, the availability we are for patients. I think that's a key thing. We're just Monday through Friday, but we're open from 7 a.m. I've got one evening we do till 9, and 2 others till 8. So between the 3 of us now, we're really making good use of the space that we have. My practice is definitely we do just about all aspects of dentistry. We're really not sending very much out. The only thing we're sending out these days is our bracketed ortho, and other than that, we're doing
Okay.
Invisalign. So things are rolling right along, Greg.
Yeah, no, that's a good 30,000-foot view of what you're doing and why the number that jumps out to me on that, and this is where we have hundreds and hundreds of clients all over the world in different parts of the country. So I look at everyone from the small city, the small city to the big city, and the number that jumps out to me is you're in Munster, which is a smaller area comparatively, and you did 22% increase in growth in a supposed bad economy, right? Because
Correct.
I mean, we've been in a recession, I feel like, for the last what 7 years? I mean, yes. It's like yeah, it's never going to get better. I mean, I'm going to retire and it's eventually going to get better or something like that. But it's almost become the norm that the economy is bad, because whether it's a mindset thing or whatever, who the heck knows? It kind of doesn't really matter. But you did 22% above that, and you said 2012 was a record year for you. One of the things that I think that you do better than anyone I've run across, which is pretty cool stuff, is that you're not just a dentist, so to speak, in the sense that yes, you are a dentist, and yes, you have a dental practice, and that's your main business. But you've spent a lot of your time studying marketing and becoming more entrepreneurial in nature, in the sense that actually you and I run into each other at marketing conferences more than I see you at dental conferences.
You're right.
So, and that's why I brought you on, is really because you look at it like you care about your practice, but you also understand that it's a business, and that you have to work on your business, not in it. And you study marketing, you're trying new things. So I know you didn't get 22% growth by using the hope strategy.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
We know from politicians that certainly doesn't work. But tell me specifically, and the listeners specifically, just a couple of the things that you did to get that extra 22% growth. Try to stick to marketing, because this is a dental marketing radio show, but if you have some staff building stuff in there too, that's fine too. But try to stick to dental marketing. Tell me a little bit about just a couple of things you did.
Well, marketing is definitely a key. This one of the things that I've seen is, not only do you, I personally feel you need to be marketing in all different areas. You don't just go, oh, it's too expensive, oh, I can't do this, oh, the market is bad, blah 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 blah. You've got to spend the time, spend some dollars, because that's something that you've always got to do with marketing. But you just have to continue to do it. And I try to cover a lot of different bases, and I'm constantly changing my marketing. I think that's, like you said, I'm always watching marketing. I'm always listening. I'm always reading. I'm, going to different marketing events, and just.
And by the way, these are not dental marketing events. These are marketing events. That's a very important thing we need to make sure people understand, is because this is not the ADA's version of how you should market your business. Because none of that crap
I probably
works.
Stay away from that as much as I can.
Yeah, none of that crap really works. But be specific. You're going to marketing events where marketers go. Right.
So that's I think that's the thing that probably sets me apart from anybody else. When I talk to people, I'm thinking outside of the dental industry, and I'm looking at all the other industries out there. I'm watching how they're how Apple or Samsung might be marketing their products to what is it, the Millennium Xers, or whatever
Mhm.
our
Right.
latest version of that is. But again,
Mhm.
looking at who I'm marketing to, how am I going to market to the baby boomers? I'm marketing a certain way. How am I going to, market to the millennials? You've got to just pay it. I found you just have to pay attention to, everybody, because I mean, I have to, even though I'm getting older each year, I have to market to different crowd each year. If I'm going to watch
Right.
my practice grow, and especially my associates are obviously 20 years younger than I am, and their communication skills and their expectations. So I'm learning all the time what we need to do. In my practice, I've gotten away from let's, for example, using the phone book. I'm out of the phone book completely.
Yeah.
I'm not a big yellow page guy. I never really was.
Mhm.
I didn't feel like it would really get me anything. But I've been fortunate enough that I've used the internet since it really has started to peak, and I've gotten myself positioned, thanks to Greg in a lot of ways. He's helped me put it, keep me, on page one of Google search all the time, for my area, and I think that's a huge thing. That's one area that you've got to, that you have to create a presence, because I know anymore that even a patient might come in and they'll say, yeah, I got referred by another patient of yours, or I saw your ad in the newspaper. But every one of those people, they inevitably say, well, yeah, and I saw your website. They always come
Sure.
back and say, I
Yeah, I
saw
Googled
something,
you
I
just to make
Googled
sure you
you,
weren't full of it. Yeah.
and
Right.
I looked at the reviews, and I looked at your Facebook page, and I looked at all these different things. And as scary as it is, I mean, I'm not, I'm definitely not the person to ask all the Facebook questions about, but people are, that's just how people want to find you. They want to know who you are before they even come in to meet you. They want a good sense of what to expect, and the internet is probably the biggest way to do that. Um, I know this isn't supposed to be about just
Yeah,
internet
you're not supposed.
marketing,
I
but
mean, you can talk me up, but we're not supposed to be selling anything on here. But I appreciate
that's
your
been a big
your
key for me.
candor.
One of the things, I mean, obviously the internet has been big, and fortunately for me, I've also, my last front desk hire, I hired a gal, and we've been training her and teaching her how to do the marketing. So I've
Yep.
got somebody that's more dedicated. I've got somebody who can call you, Greg, and ask, hey, doctor was going to do this. What's the best way to, how can we link this in with the internet? And get support from, to do things like Facebook. Those are things that we just kind of watch and saw, but haven't been able to put it together. So it's been nice to have, a marketing person within my office.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the things that I want everybody to understand is, Eric, and this should go for everybody out there, is you're not sitting there licking stamps, putting emails together, sending out mailers and doing all sorts of things on the internet. I mean, you have, whether it's, good company outsourcers like what we're doing, or whether you have an internal, um, well-trained staff, because too many times people put the wrong people on the wrong spots. I mean, you're
Exactly.
you're you're delegating these things to different folks, because one of the things that I always hear, and we always get phone calls on, is that they will have, someone at the front desk, whether it's an office manager who mainly deals with managing the office. All of a sudden, she has become, or he has become, the marketing person. That's not
Right.
always the best way to do it,
No.
because
And
you
I've
have an
learned from
office
those. I've
manager.
learned from those
Right.
mistakes. I still have an office manager,
Uh-huh.
and it again, as a dentist, we don't really know how to do all these things. Now we have to become actively involved. I know I have learned a ton, and I've learned a ton from Greg, from all from you personally, as well as all the information you know that I've gotten from you. through the years, and that's been priceless to me, because it's things that I didn't know. I didn't know how to make a decision on some things. I'd
Mm-hmm.
have to, for me to have you as my go-to person in, I refer to it as the Google world,
Yeah.
to be able to answer some of those questions. Because, for us to get a question reading dental economics from, another dentist who's talking about it, I kind of go, well, what is he doing? Is he doing dentistry, or is he sitting on, is he selling something? I couldn't ever quite tell.
Sure.
So that's why the
Sure.
outsource is a huge thing, just to get help in those areas where it's kind of a specialty thing, and that's what you've been able to do. And the customer service that you and your staff have given us has been priceless.
Well, I appreciate the compliments. We do give it our best effort, and one of the things that I want to kind of touch on is with the growth you had in the new year, and one of the topics that I'm going to be talking about on this podcast all day long, because I'm going to beat it till it's a dead horse, is you can put all the systems in place that you want. Okay, you can get a direct mail campaign together. You can get your internet stuff working well. You can get a marketing assistant in place who gets your stuff done and does it really, really well. You can get your team cranking. You can do all of those things that facilitate the perception of growth. But if you don't have a 100% foolproof marketing tracking system in place, then you are inevitably going to fail long term.
Oh, tracking.
Now, I know that's
huge.
kind of like a draconian statement, but if here's the deal. You can't manage what you can't track, right? So you can't automatically pull numbers out of thin air. So
no, and we're tracking everything these days too.
Yeah, and part of I'll get into detail on other podcasts about this, because I don't want to get too much into this, because it's actually, this is an entire episode on its own, is how do you track your marketing and those various things. But for the general discussion of today, having the person who answers the phone say, "How did you hear about us?" does not count as tracking. That's guessing, because Eric, I don't know if you know this, but I believe it's something like close to 80% of people who respond to their first piece of marketing will actually lie to you about how they found you.
No, I didn't know it was that high.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say lie is probably a strong word. They don't necessarily tell the truth, and they don't do it maybe on purpose. I guess a lie would be on purpose. They would either forget, or they just really don't want you to know, because it is a pretty intrusive question, because it's kind of Big Brother-ish. So most people just say, just say, "Oh, I found your website. Oh, I saw one of your ads."
Well, I find most of that I get when I've got them in the chair one-on-one. I get more out of them other than just friend of mine.
Yeah,
and I don't
which
remember
there
who
is
that
a second layer there, but I'm talking more general. There are a large percentage, I would say even 90+% of practices out there who rely on just using their EagleSoft software, because the front desk person's just checking some sort of
checking the box
lead source in there and checking a box, and they think that that's foolproof. Which, like you said, there's layers to it, which we'll get into at a later date. But, I think the doctors out there, and you can attest to this, you have to be analyzing your marketing like every single month, like clockwork, and you can't be guessing, that'll eventually become the downfall of your business. Is when you stop paying attention to those numbers.
There's definitely ways of marketing now that we're starting to do. Excuse my dry mouth, and I'm not trying to be a commercial for the senator with the water bottle. But the ability to I know you're talking about tracking. I know you're talking about, when we talk about marketing and, the term psychographics, the ability to really nail down who you're going to be
Yeah.
marketing to has become huge for me. So I'm not just spraying stuff out there anymore. I'm getting
Right.
more specific to who who I'm doing my direct pieces to, who I'm doing, what kind of an ad am I putting, in different areas. So we're paying attention to all those things. So yeah,
Well, I
that's
mean,
so
the
important.
availability of technology now to allow for you to break down certain demographics and certain psychographics is so readily available. It used to be only available to the big marketing businesses. Now it's available to everybody.
Right.
So, now, anyone can go out and do those types of things. And that's where it's like you have to be using call tracking numbers on all the marketing that you're doing. If you're not tracking phone calls that are just to your main line, you need to be doing that. We put marketing tracking phone numbers on all of your internet stuff. So we know with 100% clarity that even if it's a referral-based patient, like a referral that came from Susie Q, who's another patient, well, why are they coming from the Google Places page? Well, we know that research shows that they Google you even if they're a referral, right? And they're checking out your reviews and they're looking at your videos and making sure you're a reputable dentist. And that's that's one form of tracking. But just the tracking phone numbers, can be a game changer because then you can see. So what if you've been sending out a postcard for 6 to 12 months and you think patients are coming from the postcard and you put a tracker on it, you find out you're not getting any phone calls. Are you going to mail that postcard anymore? No. But if you didn't put that tracker on there, you'd never know. You'd just be wasting money, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Can relate. There's other numbers, but that's just a general statement of tracking. Do you have any advice on what are the tracking that you guys use? I know obviously we do your reporting for the internet stuff, but
well, we do tracking. Again, even if it's an ad in the newspaper, I don't have my office number on that.
Right.
We're tracking that via a different, because they're calling in on a different line, so we're tracking that they're seeing that ad and calling off of that ad.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. So that's a good marketing 101 lesson right there. Is anyone listening who does marketing in terms of whether it's a billboard space, any sort of print, anything that's visible, and you're putting your regular old phone number on there and just driving the phone calls to your business, stop that. Stop doing that right now. There's companies out there, I'll give you one right now, that will give you a call tracker line, and all it does is it's a local number, so people think it's still local. So if you're in a 716 area code, it can stay 716 or whatever it is. It's called Your ROI Guy. So it's your YOURROIGUY.com. It's Richard Seppala's company. He can tell him Greg sent you, and you can get a tracker for whatever you need. Yeah, you use them too. And quite frankly, you don't have to use Richard, but just use something. And because what happens is, Eric, say you get an ad rep that calls you up and says, "Hey, we got this remnant space we're going to sell you for cheap, and it'll be a small ad in the paper." And you draft up the ad, you're getting a call tracker, and you're putting that on that ad. You're not just putting your regular phone number, correct?
Right. Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you even want to get more into it, you could set up a part of your website to get that traffic. So it could be like, abcdental.com / Chicago Sun-Times. So then every patient that went to that website came from the Chicago Sun-Times. Or didn't come from the Sun-Times. Because guess what? If you ran that sucker for a couple of weeks and you didn't get any phone calls and no hits on the website, you're never running it again. Meaning you're never running that type of ad again. Or maybe, because sometimes it's not always you can probably test this, it's not always the the media that's bad. Sometimes it's the marketing copy and the offer sucks.
Right.
Would you agree?
Well, yeah, that's a big part. That's again a whole big discussion as far as the copy that you're putting in there. Again, you have to either study or you have to find somebody who has studied that. Like you and I can sit and go back and forth on what we should put in the copy. The copies, it's what's on your website, what's on your internet, on your small internet ad, to, what you're sending out in a direct mail piece, what you're sending out in a freestanding insert, how you put it in, copy is a huge part of what you do. I mean, you and I are both fans of, Dan Kennedy, who is one of the best copywriters in the world. And, we're always, learning from him and listening to what seems to be working these days. And obviously you want to try to
words matter. That's what people are, images matter too, but words matter more.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it.
And space is expensive every place, wherever you're using that, that space where you're putting the copy.
It is. So you don't want to ixnay that. That's like where we also do this for Eric as well, but we're doing the Google AdWords for it's a done for you program for our clients, and we give them our proven and tested ad copy to run on Google, because we know that in dentistry most of the ad copy stinks. We know that we can get.
Look at our yellow pages of the past.
Right. We exactly. We know what we can do on the Google stuff because we've tested it. Whereas we'll get a lot of clients who eventually want us to manage it. Is they'll just get a coupon from Google and they'll have their admin or themselves set up some AdWords campaigns, and they wonder why it doesn't work, or they just set it and forget it and they're just burning money. Tell you what, AdWords, if done right, is one of the best things going right now, because, what other media source can you think of that you can just, within a couple of hours, have access to hundreds of thousands of people in a couple of hours? No, exactly. There's nothing like it. Nothing. There isn't. So, that being said, so back to your practice a little bit too. So like you started hiring an associate. When did you decide to bring these people on? What was because you had to do a mindset shift, because you were going from working in the business to you had to make a change, right? Because there's no way you can grow it just you. And, on your own.
I also have other businesses too. So it keeps me busy and humming. I'm still working 4 days a week, 30 to 40 hours with my fingers wet.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm definitely spending my more time, my reading, my watching, listening, all the different things out there on business and what you have to do to be successful as an entrepreneur is where I do spend a lot of my time. Mm-hmm. But I do, just like, and I know this seems to come back, the one thing I've learned, as much as I'm still doing dentistry every day, I love every bit that I do. I still do a lot of CE and dental CE too. I've been successful. I've got, 2 young doctors right now who are, very proactive dentists. They're listening, mm-hmm. They're learning. They're excited to listen and learn from me because, you're not taught this kind of stuff at all. Right. And, I've learned, just like I'm, had the relationship with you, to be able to learn how to do this. And I know I have to do a part myself. There's a big part of me that has to be involved with this to make this successful. I can't just, call you up and say, Greg, I want you to, here's X number of dollars and, make this work for me.
Make it happen.
And make it happen. It's not going to happen, because until you've spent some time with me and know what I'm doing and know what I want, and, I need to, spend the time reviewing, the stats, and I have to, ask questions about the stats and look at, at all different aspects of the internet marketing, I need to spend time with you to, to understand it and to work together to make it work well. And I think
part of it is part of the you want to know what you're really just doing. I'm going to make this very simple. Is you're just paying attention to stuff. That's really what it comes down to. Is that you study it, you pay attention to it, and you manage it in a reasonable way. Because a lot of the times, when you're working in the business and you're a doctor, just working all day with patients and dealing with staff and dealing with the hygiene team and just dealing with paying bills and all this other stuff, is that you just don't pay attention to the thing that's pushing the business, which is whether internal and external marketing. And we're going to get into a lot of that. This is a dental marketing show. This is kind of a nice loose conversation to get us going. But I would suggest anyone who's listening, there's an opt-in at the top of the website. Go ahead and fill in your email, and we will let you know when a show comes live, and you can download it or listen to it on your computer or put it on a CD or whatever it is you want to do, because it's here to help everyone. So make sure you subscribe to that. There's also going to be a comment section underneath the audios, and there's also a comment section in iTunes. Please make a comment. And here's the only thing I say about comments. And Eric knows this because he's known me for a long time. I'm a very positive individual. There will be no complaining, no making fun of people, no whining, no negativity. So comments are to be only positive.
That's a great point, because that's how we all learn. That's how we all learn.
Yeah, exactly. Taking people down and making fun of them isn't, that's for the, if you want to rip on people, you can go on the Dental Town forum boards and you can make fun of people all you want on there, because nobody cares on there. So here I'm going to facilitate an attitude for everyone to go ahead and exchange comments and ideas, but it's got to be positive. We're going to moderate them. But the only reason I made this show a free show is because I want comments. So, I want people to engage. It's the only way you learn. Eric's right. It's the only way you learn. And definitely make it a positive one. So, Eric, we are out of time, my friend. So I appreciate you taking time actually during your
you're more than welcome. I always like talking about these subjects. So
yeah, no, this is good. This is a good first start. And like I said, we're going to have different topics, different people. Maybe Eric will do something really different and cool that we'd talk about again in a couple months. But I'm gonna end. I don't know about you, Eric, but I love quotes, and I'm gonna end every show with one of my quotes that I enjoy, because I think quotes are very good things to kind of put things in perspective, because we can all get caught in such a busy world, whether it's taking the kids to soccer practice or business or whatever, is that they can kind of like wake you up and be like, oh yeah, that's very true. So, and I know it's tough out there right now for a lot of dentists. Some people are having trouble making payroll. I've had a few clients who've unfortunately sold their practices this year. I know there are pockets of the country where it's not that great, but here's the deal. One of my favorite people of all time, Zig Ziglar, which I'm sure Eric is familiar with. Mm-hmm. His quote for the day is, failure is a detour, not a dead-end street. Okay? And take that for the day. Recite that to yourself a couple of different times. If you're having a tough day or you're having a tough month or a tough year, if you fail, it's just a detour. It's not the end of the world. So pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try to do it again, but just don't repeat it. That's the only thing. So, all right. Well, thanks for jumping on, Eric. Thanks, everyone, for listening. This is the Dental Marketing Radio Show. Go to dentalmarketingradio.com. And if you want to look up any of my stuff for my business, it's local search for dentists with an S.com. And have a good day, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Greg. You too.
Okay. We'll see you.
Bye now.